Dark Satellite Media.
Why can't you take a side? Why did you lend an ear? Why can't you make up your mind? Why can't we just stay here? Since we cannot identify it by ourselves. Since we cannot identify it by ourselves. When you wanted someone to hold your hand to protect it. When you wanted someone to kiss your hand to protect it.
Red River episode number 76, our monthly get together where we make pretend that people care about our opinions, about
Hold on a second. Pretend.
yeah, about the things that we care about.
Okay,
and
yeah,
wait.
that's true. Yeah,
We're
yeah.
influencers, bro.
yeah,
Come on,
we're like you know
the oldest influencers.
yeah we're like Paris Hilton without the porno. So
Some of us don't have the porno. Some of us have the porno.
we have return John Scandato in the house from Break the Apocalypse podcast. What's up, man?
What's up, people? You might want to say Jon Draper. because
Oh,
most
that's
people
right.
Don't know my what we call in the business my shoot name.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. So
my work name is Jon Draper.
Jon Draper, exactly. So people know you a lot from what Wrestling Soup is it?
Well, I was on Wrestling Soup, and then I started Break the Apocalypse last September, and that's what I've been doing ever since. I was on Wrestling Soup for a good while.
Yes, we talked about it for about 6 hours on the episode that you were on, but lately, so now that I listen to it, you guys have great production value. And you guys kind of tackle kind of like current events and a bunch of shit, right? So like, just give us like a quick rundown, just in case anyone missed those episodes, as to like what Break the Apocalypse is.
Yeah, so Wrestling Soup was obviously primarily a wrestling show, but Wrestling Soup also covered a lot of topics. But the massive audience that Wrestling Soup had, and there's a fairly significant audience for wrestling for sure. You couldn't really deviate from it too much, as much as we really wanted to. So I wanted to stop talking about wrestling as much as possible, and I wanted to do that like exclusively, like away from the show. So I hooked up with two people that I knew from wrestling, from the podcasting world, that I'd been friends with for a good while. And we basically said, we all want to do a show, but we don't want to talk about wrestling. So I was like, well, I would love to talk about like what's going on in the world, between music and entertainment. But we do a lot of politics. It is really like a current event show. It's a comedy show routed in current events. And we also have a Patreon where we do the full unedited show, which runs about 3 hours. When we started, it was only about an hour and a half. Now it's like 3 fucking hours. Oh, can you curse on here? I'm sorry.
Yeah. How many of those hours are you?
About 2.57, 2.57 probably. And so we have the show comes out it's on every platform. It's the one that's a free version is about an hour and a half now, which is a good chunk. And then the Patreon version, which you can go to at patreon.com/break the app, is the unedited show. I mean, that goes on for like 3 hours usually.
Yeah, that's awesome. I totally enjoy the show. What I like about your show. I'm sure I told you before. It's just kind of like, it's like the old school way. Like you're just hanging out. You're not really trying to like censor your words or anything. It's just kind of like three friends just talking normal, the way like three friends would, And
yeah.
like sometimes funny shit comes out, and sometimes, you know, it's like you said about politics or like the state of the world. So I'm a big fan of that. So, you know, all support to Break the Apocalypse. Thank you for coming
Oh, thank you.
to basically do this. And one more thing that I will bring up before, actually, you know what? I'll add it to my list. One of the things that I'll talk about is music, and in particular, you were in a band called Synthetic 16 a long time ago, and when you were on the podcast, I was like, man, it would be so cool if your catalog made it to the digital platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. At the moment, there's only 2 of the albums that are on Bandcamp, and the other one is on Spotify. And on that cover, I'll always bring up the fact that you got Aaron Brown, aka Spider Babe, on your cover.
Misty Monday, yeah.
Yeah.
Monday.
So how does it feel to basically have the opportunity now to have people that don't know you as being in a band? You know, like how has the response been? I love the records.
It's weird. So I knew, like, had I had done this with you a year ago with the Wrestling Soup audience, would have been a much bigger impact, but it's making quite an impact. Doing the show with you drew, like, because our listenership pulled over and started listening to your show. And then they were like, wow, how can I find, and I was getting people asking, where can I find these albums? I actually had a fan of the show last year bought on the internet, bought about 15 copies of Your Water to bring to our Tampa show when we were doing an appearance in Tampa before COVID. He bought like a bunch of them because he wanted me to sign them and give them out at this theater we were doing in Tampa. But to have, it's funny, we did a Q&A on the Patreon last night, and I never look at the questions before because I want to give honest answers. And I feel like if I know a long time in advance, I might give a generic, shitty answer. And one of the answers was like about the album that up until like a few months ago, no one even knew existed, Too Far Along, which we recorded in 2003, and no one's heard it. Like no one's ever fucking heard it. And he was like, yeah, I want to talk about I Think You're Wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe anyone even knows what that is. It's creepy. But in a good way. It's like creepy in like an awesome way, but it's like, it's weird. I don't know how to react to it sometimes because I like the presence I have now, like with the podcast. And I also feel like people are kind of dragging me back into music. And I feel like I am, inadvertently like falling into music now. You know what I mean? Like the same way I didn't know I was going to do podcasting. Now I didn't know I was going to do a Synthetic 16 reunion. Like and now it looks like it's absolutely going to happen, possibly even in the fall, which you and I will talk about offline. But it's crazy, dude. I mean, it's crazy. And it's an awesome thing though.
Is your wife worried about groupies?
No, absolutely not. I think I'm going to be 50 in like 6 weeks. And I think she's more worried about like, just me falling asleep like in the middle of dinner. And like, I'll tell you guys something really funny. I carried something heavy. We got a new vanity and the guy installed it and he couldn't get it up the stairs. So I go, yeah, I can help you. He's like a good in shape young guy. And I got it up the stairs with him. And in my mind, I remember going, oh, that wasn't such a big deal. I had like sciatica from it, like so bad that I was almost crying. Like, you know what I mean? Just from carrying a vanity of 3 steps.
Wow.
Once the adrenaline wore off.
Yeah, but at the time, I was like, oh, this guy probably thinks I'm like some herb, like I can't, like, some cardigan guy can't carry something. And then I was like, oh, let me help you.
I'm part of the Brooklyn Scandatos. I could do this.
Yeah. There's not a lot of physicality in that Brooklyn Scandato lineage. I can tell you that right now. But it's exciting because I do want to do music. Like, I really, really do. And to see the other people that I played with, to have like conference calls with them about like getting the album on Apple and dealing with the label. I was like, wow, I really thought this was behind me. And I'm like, it's The Godfather 3. The only good thing in The Godfather 3 is that line. We all know it. Just when you thought you're out, they pull you back in.
Well, that's what happened to our, Brian, who, Brian, you don't have your video up, right? I don't know if that's on purpose.
He went to go get a cardigan. That's fine. He wants to go. He's looking for a cardigan.
The same thing happened with him. He was the drummer for Sky Came Falling, and he didn't do anything for forever. And just in the last year or so, like he got a band together. So same thing. Only he's a drummer, so he's got to be in slightly better shape.
Well, he has a lot more utility. Like you know what I mean. Like he could probably do anything. Like I'm kind of limited because I'm a 50-year-old, skinny bald guy, like with bad hearing and bad teeth and bad eyesight. So it's just like, what What am I gonna do? A Mr. Magoo fucking band? I mean, it's like, you know,
as soon as the video comes up, you'll see how fucking hot he is.
yeah,
So
yeah. If you're into that sort of thing.
So let's just talk about what we've been watching and what we've been listening to lately. That way, you know, we just do a little round robin here. I'll kick it off real quick. Oh, there he goes.
There we go.
There you go.
Boom.
Wow.
I heard hotness, so I had to jump in.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a movie that I watched on Netflix that I thought was really, really well done. It had Anne Heche and Thomas Jane, and it's a movie called The Vanished. I know Parker saw it.
Oh, that's a fucking great movie. I back that movie fucking completely.
How random was that movie? Like that movie was just like it almost felt like an M. Night type movie. You know, I can't really get too far into it. It's just that this couple, they go camping and all of a sudden their daughter disappears, and then the place where they're camping, like all these people start looking for the kid. And then the story goes from there, and it just keeps, it's like an onion that keeps like going, and by the end you're like, wow, okay, this is really good. So that's up on Netflix.
Who directs that movie? I've heard of it. Who directs it? Anybody that we would know?
I don't think so. I mean, I would have to look, but I don't think so. But it's up on Netflix, and it's definitely something that I felt worth mentioning. So I'll kick it over to Langan.
Well, it was St. Pat's last week, so I watched Crock of Gold, the Shane McGowan documentary. Yeah, it's you know, I knew the Pogues music, I knew of Shane, I knew a little bit about him, but it was cool to get his whole entire background, and man, what a story. I mean, it's sad what shape he's in, you know, but you couldn't have thought it was going to go any other way. I mean, if you follow his career or anything. I mean, the guy started drinking and smoking when he was like 6 years old with his aunt. But I mean, what great music and that the Irish flavor and the punk edge, and what a unique band they were. And I think it's produced by Johnny Depp, who's in it a couple of times, having an interview with him. But if you're a fan of the Pogues, it's must see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, to answer John's question, who directed The Vanished? Peter Facinelli, who is
that name.
Mike
The
Dexter.
actor?
Yeah, Mike Dexter from Can't Hardly Wait. So
yeah, holy shit, that's
cool.
So random, dude. Oh my god.
He's in it too. So all right, so the Pogues doc, John, give me something that you watched or you've been listening to that you want to.
Well, I just sat through the Snyder Cut, actually,
okay.
And I had to do it in stage. I had to do it in 2 stages because I'm a geriatric, so I had to do it in 2 stages. And I had no expectations of it at all because I was one of these people that was making fun of people for being excited about it. Because I was like, how do you know it's going to be good? Why does everybody give a shit? Who cares? The movie sucked. I saw the original. And then I watched it and I ate a giant crow sandwich. And I was so engaged in it. There's just something about how whatever his vision was that he couldn't pull off for a litany of reasons. For people who don't know, his stepdaughter had committed suicide. And that's why he left the movie, which is
wow.
Unimaginable. I mean, so Joss Whedon, who was known for creating Buffy and a lot in the comic world. He did the Astonishing X-Men for people who know comics, and also the Avengers, the first 2 Avengers movies. But he took it over, and apparently there was a lot of acrimony there with the cast, especially some of the cast that were possibly female and people of color, which is a much whole other story. And it's a completely failed movie. And then you watch this movie, which is 4 hours, legit 4 hours, by the way, guys. It's 3 hours and 56 minutes in 10 chapters. And it's brilliant. I mean, it is, I blown away. And I was not an apologist for that guy or Snyder or that kind of movie at all. And then I was beside myself. Like, I couldn't believe how good it was. And I feel like had that movie come to fruition, could have been a very big game changer in how the DC properties are viewed by people in the movie world.
Wow, you hear it here from the mouth of one of the biggest nerds I know. Thank you here.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you for that. I've never seen it. I never saw the original, but I mean,
it just came out. It just came out.
No. But I mean the other one. So
yeah, you don't need to see the other one. No one will ever watch it again.
No one will ever watch it again. So, and that's up on HBO Max, which is cool. I liked it.
Yeah,
we're getting that. So, Parker, give me something.
Okay, so zombies. So I gave up on Walking Dead a while ago. I just like lost track of the show, and I think I'm like 3 seasons behind. So at this point, I was just like, fuck it. I'll just wait till the show finishes and start from fucking season 1.
It's never finishing, by the way.
Probably.
You're gonna pass it on to your child one day. He's gonna be watching.
So I went searching for something, and I found Black Summer on Netflix.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so I went into this, as soon as I saw that it was running zombies, I was like, oh God, this is going to be fucking horrible, but got through it, and it was pretty fucking good. I mean, the only person that you really know actor or actress-wise is Jamie King, that the blonde that used to be a model, and it kind of like has a cross story between about 12 different characters, and it shows from the early stages. And the whole basis of the first season was to get to the stadium, which is kind of like the safe point, or the Coliseum, that's what they call it. And they finally get there, and it's pretty graphic, I got to tell you. Some of the effects on this thing definitely could go right up there with Greg Nicotero, which I was very happy about. And the episodes were half an hour, which is cool, so they flew by. I binged it pretty quickly. And the second season is starting pretty soon, so that's pretty cool. So that's half the reason why I watch it, because I figured, why am I going to watch something just for one season when it's just going to end? So that's on Netflix also, Black Summer.
Here we go. I remember it. I remember it. People dug it. So I got one from HBO Max, 6 episodes. It's called The Head. These it's like 10 people in Antarctica, part of this like science base, and basically the summer crew goes in to like relieve the winter crew, and only to find that 8 out of the 10 of them have been murdered, and now they're left with these 2 people that are telling opposing stories. And from there, like, I described it as kind of like Knives Out meets like The Thing. Just The Thing in the setting, and Knives Out just because it's a murder mystery. And these 6 episodes, you just peel this onion back, and it's fantastic. You saw it, John?
Oh, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Good, right? Yeah.
Blown away by it. The performances, the style, and the ending. I mean, I obviously will never talk about it here, but wow. I mean, fantastic. And it is literally Knives Out meets The Thing.
Yeah, and 6 episodes works perfectly. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little. So they told that story in a nice, and that's the beauty of something like this. Like, you have a movie, it's almost like that Snyder cut, like you said. It's like you could tell this long form story instead of like editing it down to like a 2-hour movie. So HBO doing the Southern Lord's work. Langan, give me something.
This one is I saw it on Netflix. It came out in 2018 actually, but it's called The Legend of Cocaine Island. It's basically it's a documentary story about a bunch of average Joes in a southern town, and there's one crazy eccentric in the town that's always telling this story about he used to live down in the islands, one of the islands, and he found like a huge like kilos of cocaine that just washed up on shore, and he buried it in the island, but he knows where it still is. So eventually these guys figure, what if we went down there, dug it up? Guys that would have no idea how to put it on the street, anything like, total herbs, but they concoct this.
Uh-oh, we lost you.
Wow, it looks like somebody found the island.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask him if he had the coordination for the island so I could write it down.
Well, he's frozen.
Really good.
There he is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you froze a little bit, but that's fine.
I did?
Yeah, but you said
it was the cocaine. It was the cocaine.
Where did I break up? Anyway, like I don't know where you lost me and stuff, but they go down to try to dig up this guy's cocaine, and they have no idea how to put it on the street, how to do anything with it. It goes completely awry, as you can imagine. It's a real funny documentary with a lot of interesting characters.
It sounds like Finders Keepers, like that documentary.
Yes, yeah,
right?
Legend of Cocaine Island.
Cool, yo, that's I love that. Anytime you
they
mix
had me at cocaine.
Yeah, you had me at cocaine and documentary for sure. So.
Welcome to Cocaine Island.
All right, John, give me something.
I just fell into this show sort of accidentally because someone else recommended it to me, and I got Peacock.
Oh yeah.
And it's Yellowstone.
Yes.
It is brutal. It is like Dallas on Cocaine Island. I mean, I am underselling the brutality of this show. I am like, it's about a prominent ranch family in Montana. Kevin Costner is the top of the food chain. And apparently in Montana, I've never been to Montana. I know most of us probably haven't, but Montana is like the wealthiest. Like Montana has more like wealth than like Los Angeles, because it's where rich people go for the atmosphere, for the sites or whatever. And it's a rancher family it's a dynasty. And the daughter, who I know from the second season of True Detective, maybe the third season or the second season, she played Vince Vaughn's wife. I don't know her name. I think her last name is Riley. Her last name is Riley. She's a English or an Irish actress.
Riley
maybe
Reid.
maybe one of the most evilest characters you've ever seen. Like, I am so underselling this. Wes Bentley, he was a hotshot actor for a little bit there.
Yeah,
when
he was.
his
Yeah,
son.
American Beauty.
American
too.
Beauty. Yeah, he's
The bad kid.
Yeah. When I tell you this is a brutal show with Danny Houston, who is John Huston, the famous actor's son, but he's a character actor. He's a great voice. He's phenomenal. Plus the Native American, it's like a thing between the Native American people that live there and this ranch family, and Danny Houston, who is like a New York developer trying to help build a casino in there. It's got murder, brutal violence, death, kidnapping,
Penetration,
and drugs, meth. They had You Can't Bring Me Down by Suicidal on the second season.
Yes.
Which, and it's honestly,
Suicidal's big in Montana.
Yeah, well, that song is just, you have to, that song's amazing.
That's
so
awesome.
I am so sucked in. I just watched 2 seasons of it and I'm about to start the 3rd season, but apparently there's a huge cliffhanger that people are angry about, which so far hasn't ruined it. But as corny as it might sound, I'm underselling the hardcore-ness of Yellowstone. And Costner's great.
My girlfriend was like, "Oh, we got to watch this show Tombstone." I was like, "There's a show called Tombstone?" She's like, "Yeah, somebody told me to watch it." And she's like, "All right, it's about, Kevin Costner's in it." I was like, "I don't know if that's the name of the show."
Yeah. And then I always forget the name of the show too, to be honest with you. Do you guys know who Hauser, Wings Hauser, the actor, his son?
Yeah,
Cole Hauser.
Yeah.
I met Cole Hauser a bunch of years ago for like 2 minutes, but he was such a cool guy. His character on the show is the most endearing, tough, scary, brutal character. This guy is like, you wonder why this guy hasn't done more when you watch it. I mean, it's a vehicle for Kevin Costner, clearly, but it's a beautiful show. I mean, just to watch it. Great. You guys should check it out.
When we did the Dazed and Confused episode, I think Parker, you put it together that Wings Hauser was the father. I was like, holy shit, you just blew my fucking mind. And
then look alike in the face. They do look alike.
I just Wings Hauser is just somebody that I never thought would ever. I don't know. He's just such a random like Hollywood figure. And if anyone IMDb's him, you'll see why. But Cole has done a lot of cool stuff. So, but
he's great. I'm underselling it. Believe me. Just watch one episode. At the end of it, you'll be like, "What the fuck is this? Like, this is insane."
We got Peacock, so we're good. Parker, give me something.
All right. So TV. I went to Hulu and I started Schitt's Creek. So. I cannot talk, I don't know, enough about this show. So it's pretty much, it's Eugene Levy, his son in real life, and his daughter in real life star in this show. And what it's about this millionaire family that loses everything. And the only thing that they have left in their name is this little town called Schitt's Creek. And they have to go live in this flea bag motel that nobody ever checks into. And Catherine O'Hara, who I've loved since fucking Home Alone, plays the wife, and she's played, Eugene Levy's wife in almost everything. So he said when they were casting this show, it was a no-brainer. And you got Chris Elliott, Get a Life fame, as the mayor. And I don't know, there's very few shows that just the way that the son's mannerisms and his the faces that he fucking makes, he doesn't even, he could be on mute and I would still laugh watching his fucking son act. That is fucking hysterical, this show.
How far before he takes the place of Jason Bateman in your Spank Bank?
I don't know. He definitely hasn't made it there yet.
All right, just make it.
And I mean, he's never gonna beat The Rock. So let's
Too
be
much
honest.
eyebrows.
The Rock.
Never
All right.
gonna beat The Rock. So
All right,
In
okay.
all fairness, you're giving him an impossible standard to live up to. I mean,
Yes.
The Rock is just like he's
The Rock Obama. Got it.
The Rock Obama.
So yeah, Schitt's Creek, huge show. Everyone loves it. I got one from Showtime, which just ended this month. Your Honor. Holy shit. So 10 episodes. Bryan Cranston. It's one of those stories that it's like, you know, something that happens and you make that left turn instead of just going straight, and everything that a chain of events that your one thing that you should have done. And like, it's just this unfortunate series of events. And I think there's only one season. It wraps up nicely.
Yeah, it's over.
I cannot tell you like what a show, like very tense. First episode to the last episode. Your Honor is fucking fantastic. You finished it, John?
Yeah, I did the deep dive after. I don't know if you did the deep dive after, but I did the deep dive to find out more about the show, and apparently it's based on an Israeli show.
Oh no, I didn't know.
Yeah, very successful. It's literally taken from Israel.
Yo, shout out to our Israeli fans.
Yeah, that character actor from yes, well, I have a lot of Israeli fans. That character actor, whose name escapes me because I'm drinking, from Boardwalk Empire.
Oh yeah. The Baxter guy.
He is phenomenal. That guy,
He's
but
great.
he is not believable as a mafia guy. Unfortunately,
He's not. He is the one guy that's like, you see him and you're like, nah, not this guy. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks' son is in there, Chet. But it's a great show. Love it. Really good stuff. So.
Oh, that is Chet who plays the junkie friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I knew it was right away. Well, Chet's on Brad.
Shout out to my boy Chet Hayes. Langan, give me something good.
Well, me and Sam were discussing earlier. We both probably have this one. Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell, on Netflix documentary. There's been a lot of Biggie documentaries made before, and there was one a couple years ago that was made for TV. The name escapes me, but
hated it.
It was okay, but like, we all know the reason this one is the best one by far is we all know the Tupac thing. We all know that whole shit. But this one really digs down into his coming up and his story.
No sensationalism.
Nothing. It's him and his mother, what it was really like for him, what it was really like for him when he decided to get out on the block and then turn it into hip hop. And they just touch on the Tupac thing and the West Coast, East Coast thing. It's not really about that. And that's what I found so refreshing. And, from that standpoint, it was fantastic. Not to mention just anything hip hop related from that era just hits me right in the heart. I love that era and that era in New York and that old footage. It's a home run for me. Yeah.
You see him basically, like his friends, like the people that knew him before he was Biggie. His mom is she like steals the show. She's the
best.
She's like such a genuinely awesome lady, and just her memories of her son Christopher. Just a really, really good documentary that didn't even go near any of the other shit. It was just this dude.
Because we all know that shit already.
Yeah.
We've all seen the source. I mean, I think there were a couple of Source Awards clips, but I mean, we all know that whole thing, man. We all know it already, and it's all been, half of it debunked anyway. But yeah, if you want a great Biggie documentary and a great old hip hop documentary, this is for you. When I was in jail, I remember in Riverhead, and shout out to Riverhead. Yeah, shout out to Riverhead.
Did you go outlet shopping?
Where?
Did you go outlet shopping? Isn't that where all the outlets are?
Oh yeah.
No, a day pass. He went out to the outlets.
So I
was a lovely Gap factory there.
I was there.
He made the clothes. They sold it.
Yeah.
I was there the day that he got shot, and let me tell you, when this was before, like, when a conspiracy theory was just dudes talking, and you had to hear that tear. It's like, yo, let me tell you exactly what happened, man. It's like, yo,
I know who did it.
I know who did it, and this is fucked up. And like, yo, it was just the wildest shit. And I'll never forget just sitting there. We were in this long ass tier, and the TV was at the end of the tier. And the tier is like, I mean, like no one, like at the most, like maybe 4 people could watch, because like it's just at the corner, and unless we're like 30 of us are lumped up in a corner to watch it just wasn't happening. So it was on the other side of the bars, and I just remember that happening, and I was like, holy shit, Biggie just got killed. I'm like, that's crazy. So yeah, up on Netflix. Sounds good.
Still mad though. Why did he have to go to Cali so soon? Why?
So dumb. So
why do you have to
dumb,
do
dude.
that?
Probably
it would have been
I read
different.
the book. It's so dumb.
Life would have been
so
different.
Probably
bad advice.
Probably, yeah, because
kills me.
You just don't ever think something like that's going to happen, and
Thanks,
I don't.
Puffy.
Yeah,
I do blame Puffy.
Shout out to Puff. All right, John, give me something.
Well, in the spirit of that, Sam knows because Sam and I think had a back and forth about this. I am one of these middle-aged people that doesn't know anything about Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I watched
the
making of a supervillain on Showtime. And it's narrated by Giancarlo Esposito. I fucking love that guy so much. He's so fantastic. So fantastic. And I know so little about this world and so little about like that rap, that generation of rap. Like, and just to your point earlier, my brother Mike called me in my apartment in Bay Ridge on Saturday morning to tell me Biggie died. Because people in Brooklyn, Biggie didn't know the greatest rapper in the world was from Brooklyn. It was like, hey, this is amazing. So I was curious about the Tekashi 6ix9ine documentary. It's a series. I think it's 4 parts called The Making of
three
parts.
Yeah.
3 parts. The Making of a Supervillain. I think a Rolling Stone writer actually is responsible for the whole thing. I don't know his name. He's in it. It's fascinating. I mean, if you have, I am someone, I didn't know a song. I think I maybe saw the Gummo video once, like by accident. I didn't know anything about this kid. Zero. I got so sucked into this story. It is compelling. It is such uniquely a modern American tragedy tale. Like you will never see this happen again. Like ever. You will never see this ever. This will you could live to be 1,000 and this will not happen a second time.
I said the same shit yesterday, but go ahead.
Did you really?
I did. I was talking to my buddy Mark, and because I told him to watch it because he had the same feelings. He's like, He's like, I don't care. And I'm like, yo, it's not about caring about his music.
Oh, no, it has nothing to do with it.
It's about a point in time that will never happen again.
Never. It can't happen again. Honest to God. I mean, and it's funny that you said that too, because it's like, that was my takeaway from this as someone who's worked in entertainment and is like trying to make records and tour, blah, blah. It's like, this will never happen again. It's like, and they will make a full-length feature about this maybe in our lifetime. I mean, no one, and it defies belief. It defies belief.
He is.
I'm writing it down right now. You sold me.
Yo, he is like.
I'm not kidding.
He's like the hip hop version of Trump, where it's like, this
very
person,
similar.
This person is he's static when he walks into a room. Like he's just like dogs bark because they hate him so much. And like the repellent is just so strong that other people are just fascinated. He's like, it's amazing. Like this person, everything that he did to be famous. And I did an old guy thing when this came out. I watched it in reverse. I was like, oh, this is the first episode. And then I realized by the second episode, when I got to the first one, I was like, how did I not know that who am I? My grandmother? Like, I'm like putting on that.
Yeah, that's something I would have done. That's really something my wife does every day.
Because you fucking told me, you're like, yeah, he doesn't even like hip hop. And then by the time I got to the first one, he's talking about Parkway Drive and not knowing who Biggie was, like these things. And I was like,
didn't know who Biggie was. Yeah, he's talking about Parkway Drive and Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah,
and he's the biggest rapper in the world.
Yeah, because he wanted to be. Totally recommend. I had that on my list too, so that's good.
Watch it. Yeah.
So, Parker, give me something.
The Binge on Hulu. So this is it's a comedy, and it was way funnier than I thought it was going to be. So the premise is drugs and alcohol are completely illegal during the time that this movie takes place, and you get one day, much like The Purge.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
To do drugs and drink alcohol.
Oh, so
yeah, so it follows a group of 18-year-old kids that are going to go out and get drunk for the first time, and they're all excited, and what's it going to be like, and this and that. And Vince Vaughn actually plays the principal and is amazing. Like, I'm talking like shithead Vince Vaughn, like swingers made, like line after line, like it's fucking hysterical. And they get to this part where it's almost like they have to do this tournament to find out like who the I think it was like the grand champion or something of the binge. And not to ruin it, but Vince Vaughn is kind of like a legend, from days past. I'll leave it at that. So very funny movie.
Cool. Yeah, I love that premise, and I love Hulu. I think Hulu has a lot of.
I do too.
Hulu is just fucking fantastic. I'm going to mention something from Hulu that I just recently watched that fucking blew me away. Boss Level. Boss Level is so Did you watch it, John?
No, I heard about it. Everyone's talking about it.
Oh, it's so good. So it's like this dude, I don't know who Frank Grillo is, but I guess he's been on a lot of cool
You don't
stuff.
really? Oh, he's great.
Yeah. So he
Brooklyn guy.
Oh yeah, nice.
Brooklyn.
Shout out to my Brooklyn Paisans.
His name is Frank Grillo, Sam. Where do you think he's from?
That's right. Yeah, they make him over there. They make him.
Could be
over
Staten
there.
Island. Could be Staten Island.
I jerk off. There's 3 Frank Grillos waiting for me when I wake up.
So this movie is like Crank meets Palm Springs meets Happy Death Day. It's so much fucking fun, man. I just watch it. It's unbelievable. Naomi Watts is great in it, and Will Sasso is one of the bad guys, along with Mel Gibson. And it's like watching a video game. It's so unbelievably good. I highly recommend.
Hence the title Boss Level.
But yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, I guess so. Cool. Yo, shout out to Hulu again. Langan, give me something.
We just gonna stay with movies and TV right now, and then shift it, or what's the
you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Whatever I want.
I'm just deleting.
Right.
I'm deleting as we're going.
Okay. Can I do a book?
Yeah.
Is that allowed on here?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to square up the joint.
I'm going to use the bathroom while we talk about that.
Exactly.
I'm going to bring a little class to this fucking program right here.
You made Parker shit.
It's not really.
Parker is gone.
We're not talking about Wuthering Heights or War and Peace here. This is Colin Quinn's Overstated. It's basically I think Colin Quinn is one of the greatest comic minds in history.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Brooklyn. Sorry.
The guy, he gets like, he stutters and shit, and like some people break his balls for the way he talks and stuff. But really, his one-person shows, who I just watched, Unconstitutional, which is an older one of his, that's on Tubi, which has a fantastic selection of old stand-up specials. I gotta say, I've been going through it. His Red State, Blue State, that's on Netflix. His History in New York. They're some of the best one-person shows ever. And this book, Overstated, basically is just a history of the United States. It's very abbreviated, and it's like a roast of each state. He basically sets it up with a little bit of history and then a little bit of breaking balls, like stuff like I never knew like Vermont used to be its own country technically. And then he makes an observation. It's like, yeah, they had their own currency. They had a guy with a beard on it and a Neutral Milk Hotel shirt on. Like a little dig. It's like a chapter or two on each state and him breaking its balls, and New York gets a little bit extra, of course, because that's his shit. But I mean, Colin Quinn is a comic genius as far as I'm concerned, and I'll get anything of his anytime. But the book's called Overstated, and it's great.
All right, yeah, for the reading people in the crowd, shout out.
Everybody just turned out.
John, give me something.
Can I shout out a podcast I've been listening to?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, of course.
So I obviously I'm in the podcast world, but one of the things I like to do is I like to listen to various podcasts like that have political leanings that either I don't necessarily follow or
me
agree
too.
with.
Me too. Yep.
And I really do, and I think it's really important to do that because I think that's the only way to kind of get something across. And I don't know that this would fall in that category, but the very famous writer from Rolling Stone, Matt Taibbi.
Oh, I love him.
He's fantastic. He's written some fantastic books. He wrote a book about the Eric Garner murder. He wrote a book about the swap derivatives that basically collapsed the economy. He literally learned how to trade swap derivatives in order to figure out why and as someone who worked on Wall Street for 20 years, I respect him. he has a podcast that just left Rolling Stone with another writer there named Katie Halper, who I like a lot too, called Useful Idiots. It's only been around for about a year, but it just got moved to Substack. And you don't have to pay to listen to it. You just have to subscribe, and then they send you an alert and go, "Hey, we have a new episode." And I've been such a fan of this podcast and him for a long time. And he takes a lot of shit on social media platforms because he's one of these people who doesn't like take a side necessarily. And I think we need to do that. I think we need to listen to voices like that. So if I'm not as familiar with Substack, are you familiar with Substack?
No, but
Anybody?
I know the podcast. So
Yeah, it's called Useful Idiots. And they just literally last week moved from the regular platforms to Substack, which is basically, it's almost like a Patreon for writers, but you don't necessarily have to pay for it. You just have to sign up for Substack. And I just got an alert for another show that they just did. And they get great guests. I mean, they get fantastic guests all across the board. I highly recommend Matt Taibbi. I think is one of the best voices out there for anything. You know what I mean? He's such a fantastic writer. I'm a big fan of his work, especially what he did exposing things like, what was happening really on Wall Street and the swap derivatives that led to the recession and the bailouts. I mean, and these are complex things. So to have somebody that isn't from that world to explain it to you, he does the work, and it's a great show. I highly recommend it.
awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. I like that guy a lot. He's pretty good on Bill Maher on Real Time as well. Parker, give me something.
Okay, so HBO Max, I watched Judas and the Black Messiah. This was fucking great. So I didn't really know much, obviously, the backstory about the Black Panthers, but what this is about a guy who infiltrates them and teams up with the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover, and pretty much, as the cause keeps getting bigger and bigger and expanding, this guy keeps getting paid more, keeps feeding them more, information about where they're going to be, guns or whatever the case may be. And it was just really fucking great. I mean, like I said, I really didn't know much about the basis of, the Black Panthers, but I was fucking blown away by this. That's all I could really say.
Good. There's a good companion piece that was also out on HBO, a documentary that came out maybe like 15 years ago called Bastards of the Party.
Okay.
And it just basically, it's probably up on YouTube if you type it up, Bastards of the Party full movie. Just kind of like the leadership being decimated of the Black Party, of the Black Panthers,
The Black Panther.
and how it really kind of ruined, like it really fucked up those neighborhoods because those kids that were all under them, and how a lot of those people turned into, I guess it turned out into the Bloods or something. Like basically just the whole beginning of that stuff and where it started. And it was like COINTELPRO and how J. Edgar Hoover was trying to take out just this fucking story that you're like, wow, everything.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Everything just like makes sense. And you're like, God damn, like that's so fucked up.
The two actors from Get Out, that were in this were fucking phenomenal too.
Yeah. Great soundtrack too. So I'm going to mention another movie. This is definitely, aside from Psycho Gorman, this is my favorite movie of the year so far. It's called Bloody Hell. And I watched it. I rented it on, on YouTube or something, whatever. But it's 95 minutes of it's just so good. It's the best movie I've seen so far this year. It's this guy. I can't even just watch the trailer. Like I'm telling you right now, like I'm not going to give, best movie of the year so far to just anything. Bloody Hell. Watch the trailer. Watch the fucking movie. It's absolutely amazing.
Is that on Shudder? Where'd you watch it?
No, I rented it.
What platform?
I just rented it. I rented it on YouTube.
Okay.
I think it was like $4 or $5, and it's just.
Gotcha.
Somebody described it as like the John Wick of horror, and I'm thinking like, yeah, like it's just. Yo, watch it and come back to me and tell me that you didn't fucking love it. It's so fucking good. All right, cool. So moving on. Langan, give me something.
All right, I'm going to piggyback on the podcast thing, and I'm going to shout out a really, it's definitely, it's kind of stupid, but very funny and entertaining podcast by Joe DeRosa and Sal Volcano. I believe he's in Impractical Jokers. It's called Taste Buds. It's basically these two comedians, and they take each episode is they take two food products, and they'll argue, Wendy's versus McDonald's, PB&J versus grilled cheese, Oreos versus Chips Ahoy, wings versus mozzarella sticks. But these guys are so funny the way they break it down. It's only 45-minute episodes, and it's it kind of I had like a crazy couple of weeks at work, so like this was just perfect, like mindless hilarity for me. And like it's always some crappy food too, you know what I mean? Like but these guys are hilarious. One guy's from Philly, one guy's from Staten Island. They break balls, and it's highly entertaining. It's called Taste Buds. It's fantastic. It's good.
I can't wait till Frank Grillo is a guest on that. John, give me something.
I was late to the table with this. I don't know if you guys are as familiar with it. I don't know if Sam and I ever talked about this, but I had a whole bunch of people maybe around the winter time telling me that I had to get Hulu so I could watch Letterkenny.
Oh,
we
nice.
had Hulu.
Yes.
And we had Hulu, but my wife uses it to watch, my wife's a hospital RN, and she watches any hospital.
You're the worst.
Show. You're the worst. What's You're the Worst?
Are you kidding me? That was our favorite show.
Sam,
Sam's on the payroll of that show.
I'm drinking extensive alcohol.
No, me and John would always talk about it.
Yeah, I love you. Yeah, we love You're the Worst. So I watched Letterkenny, and the beginning of it is rough because I didn't know what it was about, and it's literally like It's Always Sunny of Philadelphia of Canada. I mean, but in Canada lingo and in that hardcore Canada. Like once you get the references, the show is brilliant. I mean, it's a fucking brilliant comedy. It is absolutely brilliant. I am in love with the show.
Shout out to all my hosers out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, once I realized that Hoover some Schneef means snort coke, I was on board. I was like, yes, okay, let's Hoover some Schneef. And once Hoover some Schneef off a donkey, you know what I mean? So it's like everyone in it is amazing. The girl, Katie, is probably one of the most understated, attractive women on television.
Very
great
hot.
character. The lead, everybody wants him to play Wolverine because he's Canadian and he's Cock Diesel. And he's fantastic. Jared Kesso, I think his name is. And he's brilliant. It is a fucking brilliant show. I mean, it's not for everybody. It's a very, very R-rated sort of comedy, but you have to get the lingo. You have to be familiar with how they're speaking to each other because it's exaggerated. To me, it's the Canadian It's Always Sunny. I think it's brilliant. I am so excited for it to come back. I burned through it so quickly as an unemployed COVID person. So I'm highly, highly recommend it, but you will have a rough time understanding the lingo in the beginning.
All right. Letterkenny, man. Yeah, a lot of people love it. I saw your post. So check that out on Hulu. Parker.
Okay. Amazon, I watched Cutthroat City. And this is it takes place after Hurricane Katrina with four friends. And just trying to pretty much put their life back together after everything, and they accepted an offer to pull like a dangerous heist in the heart of the city, and this thing was great, man. Terrence Howard is in it, who I've been a fan of. He plays this character, the Saint, who's just kind of like the drug lord scumbag that kind of like runs the city, and Wesley Snipes plays one of the kids' fathers, and he's just like this. Kind of like this backwoods, like he doesn't trust anybody. He lives in like this little shack, and they go to him real quick for like advice. And I thought it was great, man. It was definitely entertaining, and it was cool, man. Cutthroat City, I dug it.
Yep. Speaking of Wesley Snipes, let's talk about something that maybe I don't know if anyone else saw Coming to America too.
I watched it.
I didn't.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right, so let me ruin it for you, Langan. I
can imagine what happened, so I don't think you can spoil it.
Here's my take. I accepted that Eddie Murphy is no longer the Eddie Murphy that I grew up with a long time ago. Like, I get it. He's just not going to make those jokes anymore. So I feel like I knew what I was getting into when I started watching Coming to America. I had no I just figured like whatever, it's just gonna be like a dumb family movie. And with that bar, I was really surprised. I loved it. What I really liked about it the most is just the characters. Like it was fun to kind of like wake these characters up. It was fun to go into the barbershop. It was fun to see everyone from the older movies. And that's how I went in. I went in just liking it like that. I mean, like some of
Like how you watch Bill and Ted's.
yeah, you like you
Kinda.
just watch it
Yeah.
and it's like cool. You know, and a lot of people seem to like not like it. You know, maybe they were waiting for like a raunchy sequel, and I get it, but I feel like he made a movie for the kids of the people that watch Coming to America in 1989. You know, and
Mhm.
I don't know, for better or for worse, I'll probably never watch it again, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought Tracy Morgan is great and everything. And it was like within the first like 20 minutes, I was like, man, I'm like, they got an all-star like Aretha Franklin of it. Like, actually, no, it wasn't Aretha. It was Gladys Knight. Like, just everyone on the planet was in this movie, and I don't know. That's my take on it. What did you guys?
Yeah,
think?
we talked about it on the podcast. I loved it because as someone who saw all these Eddie Murphy movies as like a 49-year-old guy, I saw Raw at the Oceana movie theater. I saw Trading Places.
Yep.
I saw 48 Hours. My dad took us when we were very little.
Beverly Hills
I'm a huge
Cop.
fan. Beverly Hills. I saw these all in theaters. So the Eddie Murphy to me is a very instrumental, monumental person that I would imitate at Catholic school doing buckwheat in like 1983. You know what I mean? So like I have such an effect. I really don't know that I have affection for another celebrity, maybe other than Bill Murray. Like, you know what I mean? I don't. And yes, Eddie is kind of whack in terms of Eddie's like what, 7 and 22 in terms of the movies. I mean, like his win-loss record is total shit.
It's
But
not
I'm
a
also
good
a Met
batting
fan.
average.
Yeah, I'm also a Met fan. So like he appeals to me.
You're
like,
used
on
to
that
it.
level. Yeah, I'm used to a
gotta
guy
say-
underperforming.
I got to say too, piggybacking on that, if anyone hasn't heard, Eddie Murphy was on WTF Mark Maron's podcast recently.
No.
Mark Maron's one of the best long form interviewers, I think, in the business today. It used to be Howard Stern. I think Mark Maron does the best job of really getting into somebody's head, and it's
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah, and then
Eddie Murphy's-
and then what'd you do? Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah, yeah, man.
I heard Norm Macdonald say that once. He's like, Mark Maron really gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I love Norm.
But it's a great interview though. Eddie Murphy is funny doing impersonations. It's great. You haven't heard Eddie like this in a while. And one of the worst things that COVID has brought us is snuffing out Eddie Murphy's stand-up comeback. So I'm still waiting for that because there's nobody else I think that can pull off 30 years of hiatus, because that guy still, there's something about him that's so goddamn funny at the drop that he can just turn on. And I'm completely confident that when he hits the stage stand up again, it's going to be funny again. Different. It ain't going to be raw. It ain't going to be delirious.
I've been doing the whole. I would like to talk to you.
Some of the things you said in your show now.
Yeah. Here we are
love him.
quoting
I
that
love him.
like all these years later. That's how dynamic that guy hit the scene.
I have real affection for that man. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm not.
He's always going to be interesting to me. Even I don't care how many Norberts, Dr. Doolittles, whatever the fuck. Like, I'm waiting.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting for that comeback to the stand up stage, and I think it's going to be great. It ain't going to happen right away now. It got snuffed out. But listen to the WTF interview with him. It's fantastic. It was a couple of weeks ago, I think it came up.
All right, so I got a couple of things left, but we're going to be winding down. So Lane, give me something.
Yeah, I want to get into. I guess I'm going to shout out some music here because we haven't really touched on any music at all.
Sure.
Want to shout out. I haven't listened to a lot of metal this year. It's where my head is at. I don't really know if it's what's coming out. It's just where my head is at. But Enforcer, this band not Enforcer, I'm sorry. I got that.
Enforced.
Later. Enforced. There is an Enforcer, and I have that written down too, but Enforced. Kill Grid. They came out with an album last year at the Walls, I believe, 2019. These guys are the heir apparent or hair apparent, if you're a Sopranos fan, of Power Trip. These guys are doing the thrash crossover Slayer thing like better than anybody else. If you're missing Power Trip right now, which
We
am,
are.
it's still a shame.
Yeah.
But these guys, I think, mark my words, Brian Langan, 5-star lock of the week right here. These guys are gonna take. They're gonna take it up. They're gonna take up the helm. They got it all. It's lockstep, solid thrash. It's fantastic.
You're like Lon
Kilgrave.
friend at large.
Nice.
Oh, I remember Laundry. Is that Rip Magazine? Laundry?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I stole that thing, the 5-star lock of the week from Artie Lang too.
Yeah.
I gotta
I love Artie Lang. Shout out to Artie Lang.
yeah. I
all
hope
right.
he's good, but listen to it.
John, give me something.
This is going to be a weird music reference because I fell into this late. So Sam is a big fan of the movie The Gentleman,
Yes.
the Guy Ritchie movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You're a fan?
Oh,
So
huge.
that's on cable a lot. When I saw it in theaters, they had that remix of the ODB song, the Shimmy Shimmy Y'all song. And I was like, oh, I wonder who that was. And then I
Oh
forgot
my
about
God.
it. Well, no, I wonder who did the remix. So
Okay,
then
okay.
it comes on cable a few months ago, and it's heavy in rotation cable now. Like it's on, like I have a FiOS. It's on every day. Like I watch it every day, a little bit every day. So I wanted to know who did that, and it's I guess a hip hop DJ from Brooklyn. Wow, Brooklyn is just unbelievable. Called El Michel's Affair, and I assumed it was a European person because it's a Guy Ritchie movie, and it seems. And apparently, this particular DJ producer did multiple albums remixing Wu-Tang Clan songs with orchestras, and that's off a remix that came out, I think, in 2007 or 11, maybe 11, called "Return to the 36 Chambers." And it's not something like I listen to it like driving all the time now. I just put it on and listen to it all the time in the car. It's fantastic. Like he basically takes established Wu-Tang songs and just dissects them completely. And most of it's instrumentation, but it's fun to listen to. Like if you're doing stuff around the house or exercising or like I know there's two of them. There's two Wu-Tang albums that he did, but the one I listen to most is the Return to the 36 Chambers. And I'm obsessed with it. I wonder why I never heard it before.
I know the name. I
Mhm.
had no idea what that person did, but I'll check that out. I love that. So
Oh, you're going to be like, Jesus Christ, like where has this been? You know?
yes, I'm doing a part 2 of that Wu-Tang episode. That's a good tie-in. Good work, John. Yo, Parker, give me something.
Tax Collector, I guess I'll bring up.
I love that. I
Yeah.
fucking loved it.
Yeah, so
On Hulu.
on Hulu, I don't know, man, just guns, drugs, and hot chicks. Fucking bring it on.
Yes.
So my boy fucking Shia LaBeouf, of Holes fame, walking around like a badass motherfucker. You don't want to fuck with this guy. And it was fucking great. I mean, just really don't need to go into this movie knowing anything, thinking anything. It's just violence after violence. And one of the most brutal fucking scenes, man, is when they fucking stick that guy's head out the car door. I'm just gonna leave it at that because that was fucking brutal.
So the writer, obviously, he's got a total flavor to his shit, which is David Ayers. So he did
David Ayers, yeah, he directed
did,
it, right?
Yeah, he did Training Day, End of Watch, and a bunch of other cool stuff.
Did he do Blade also? Did he do the first Blade?
I think he did.
He may have wrote the first Blade. That'd be
I-
David Goyer. Might be David Goyer.
I think I'll look that up though, because Ayers has a long list. He did some directing, but he's also done some screenplays too. But that's up on Hulu. I loved it. So I like it. Like in the Facebook group, like Parker's brother commented, and he's like, he said he hated it, and then he like dropped a spoiler. And I was like, that's one hell of a spoiler. He's like, I know the movie's terrible. And I'm just thinking like, no, I'm saying you spoiled the movie. Like,
Yeah, got
he didn't really understand. I was like, whatever.
Got it.
So I'm gonna do one that I've been watching on Paramount Plus. So the old Real World cast got together to do I think it's like a 6-episode thing. And
I saw the first one. It's up on YouTube for free, just if anybody wants to know.
So that's the good one. The other two are not so good.
Oh, really?
Well, here's the thing. That was fun because you're kind of playing into the fact that you're in a time machine. It's like tickling all your nostalgia fancies, and everyone's in there and they're hugging. But by the time you get to the middle of episode 2 and then 3, it just turns into this like it's just like a little too extra woke for my taste right now.
There we go. Yeah. That's
And it's just kind of like I don't know what like 20-year-old is in charge of this show.
Our friend
and
Mark Schoenbach posted something on Facebook the other day. We were talking about like how a lot of stuff is coming out like that, and it's really dating.
not gonna age well.
The age. No, it's really gonna date it. Everybody's quick to do that now, but
yeah, it's
and
still,
we're all cool and we're all allies here. It's just
yeah, it's just kind of like 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 when
don't beat us over the head.
Yeah, for sure. And it wasn't what I was expecting as far as
Is there any new Rain Dance music though, Sam?
I was just going to say,
we all want to know.
I'm gonna put this out there. Has anyone on this podcast ever seen Rain Dance? Raise your hand.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw them in
shit.
Brooklyn.
Okay.
I saw them in Brooklyn. My friend opened for them the year after the show was over. My friend was in a band called Picture This. My friend Keith, who worked at MTV, and they opened for Rain Dance at a club not far from the studio that I referenced on your show, where I shared with Typo Negative in a Marine Park. Okay. But this is going back long before those. This is around that time, maybe. I don't even know. Oh, it's around that time.
Wow. Yeah.
And Rain Dance. Yeah, we saw Rain. They opened for Rain Dance.
That name Rain Dance always makes me laugh because it's like those metal bands that would use KNIGHT if they use night in their name. When they do that little one word extra or one word letter taken away or letter added.
Yo,
I've been in the audience for Rain Dance, people.
I do want to say this. He is one of the coolest dudes on the show now.
Yes.
Like he in the new show, he's like I think he's still
Seems very well adjusted.
Yeah, he's still in the music business and all that other shit. And he walks like an 80-year-old Asian man, though. It's weird. like his hands are like it's like he's got mad wisdom and shit. Like I don't know, like
he's the Buddha.
He's like exactly. It's weird. Like he's walking like he's giving someone like this like advice. It's weird. You got to watch it. Like me and my girlfriend watched it last night. I'm like, why does he walk? He's got his hands crossed, his fingers crossed, but like drop down as he walks. Like it's almost like he's like a Jedi or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just it's
Luke
fucking
Skywalker
weird.
over there.
So once again, I got a couple other things. I don't know, Langan, what you have left.
Yeah, I'm going to try to group some things together that are in the same family here.
Okay.
Me and Sam, there's a couple of things that me and Sam are like lockstep on, but I'm going to shout out 3 hip hop albums that came out recently. El Camino's Blockwork, Portis, El Hus Kingpin.
That shit rules. That shit rules.
It's using all Portishead samples and real and not obvious samples either. Did you notice that? Like certain things, I'm like, God, that sounds like I know what that's from, but like little things. It's got Vinnie Paz. Yep. It's got Nems in it. Stu Bangers did one of the tracks. It's fantastic. And I was waiting. I was following him on Twitter, and I don't know how I missed it, but I went and listened to it last week, and it's ridiculous. And I got a shout out. Lastly, DJ Muggs and Rome Streets, which is I think me and Sam both like a front runner for album of the year already. Year. Like, yep. It's what you come to expect from Muggs over the last few years. Dark, really unique sound and beats like that just only are coming from his mind right now. And it's El Camino, Portis Huss album, and DJ Muggs Rome Streets. Because Muggs got like 3 records out already. So
I know
those are my hip hop selections.
John,
you have anything down there?
Yeah, my partner in the podcast, Shaheen from Break the Apocalypse, sent me Griselda, which I never heard before.
Oh my God, so good!
Oh my God, I was blown up. But then he was quick to tell me the reason why I probably like it so much is because the beats are from DJ Premier, and that's totally my generation. So yeah. And then he was going on and on about was it Benny the Butcher? And,
yes.
And this is all new to me. So like, you know, I don't know, and I know it's not that old, but
he's got a new one out this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Benny the Butcher.
Yeah, it's kind of it's weird. It reminds me a little bit of like an East Coast Far Side. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just dating myself that reference because I don't listen to a lot of modern hip hop. But he also sent me, is it Stillwell, the fat guy with all the tattoos? Shakewell?
I don't know who that is. Stillwell is a rock
Shakewell.
band.
No, Shakewell and Fat Nick.
Never heard of him.
I don't know. These guys are a lot younger than us, but I really like that Griselda a lot. Like I could tell why I know, like I could get why it's very popular, but I was
It's a
happy
hot
to hear
sound,
that
man.
because it's really, but it brings me back to like, I'm
well,
like a Tribe Called
There's
Quest
a lot of
guy,
people out there doing it, just like we grew up with doing it. Like a
That's
lot
the
of
thing.
there's
Yeah,
a
you
lot
gotta
of things
find it.
out there. People think that mumble rap is, or whatever, the younger generation is just doing that, but like it's out there. It's just there's so much out there. You got to like filter through it, but it's out there
with anything, and that's why we're doing this show.
100%.
Like I feel like sometimes
We're filtering through things for you people.
We're doing the work.
We're not
doing the work.
mentioning. We're not mentioning the shit. So Parker,
All heroes don't wear capes.
Parker, what do you have left?
I finally watched Bird Box. I had never seen that. That was pretty cool.
Is that Sandra Bullock?
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I'd never seen that. And then last but not least, I actually watched a documentary on Tubi, because we can't leave out Tubi. So
Tubi rules.
Yeah, it was called Confessions of a Time Traveler. So this is about a dude that says that he's from, I think, the year like 3066 or some shit. And
that's where I shut it off.
Yeah, and this guy interviews him, and just some of the shit coming out of the fucking guy's mouth. I mean, just it's crazy. The first thing he says, you got to turn off your cell phone because the radiation is bad for my skin or some shit, and blah blah blah. But then about 10 minutes later, the guy agrees to go get an X-ray done. So much for that radiation, huh? But it was pretty amusing either way. So that's it.
I love Tubi. Tubi is a really amazing streaming platform. I think we say it all the time. It's just it's basically
it's free, people.
It's free.
It's free.
Just get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to sit through a couple of commercials, and you have all the films that time forgot, but didn't deserve to forget.
That's it.
Just time your bathroom breaks with the commercials, and it's like it's nothing.
It's easy. Get some snacks.
So I'm going to mention some music now that Langan mentioned it. So some of the records that I've been loving this month are DJ Muggs, as you mentioned, with Rome Streets. Rome Streets, I don't know if it's me, but like his flow and his punchlines kind of remind me of like Big L a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, right? He's got like that.
Yeah.
The new Kings of Leon record is fucking awesome. I love it. It's a mellow record, but I just love that band. I think they write really good songs, and I feel like the more popular they got, the less that people want to admit that they liked them. So the new Weezer record, there's like really good songs on it. It's like Ben Folds meets like the Beatles with Weezer. There's some really, really good stuff on there. And that's another band that cries wolf a lot, because I feel like they release an album of trash and then people are like, fuck this band. And then they come back and like accidentally make like 10 good songs. And they're a weird band for sure.
I always associate Weezer with you, because I feel like you agonize over liking or not liking whenever they release something new.
I'm a fan.
I follow you with that.
I'm a fan. Yes. I'm a fan.
I respect that.
So speaking of Griselda, Benny the Butcher put out a record with Harry Fraud. I love Harry Fraud's production. This is the Plugs I Met part 2. And last, the band Cloud Nothings, which is a really cool indie rock band. They can get super heavy, but the singer songwriter Dylan Baldy is a really good songwriter. Think of like somewhere between like a heavier Pavement or like Guided by Voices. So Cloud Nothings, like very underrated, but quietly put out a lot of great records. So Langan, do you have anything else?
I agree with you on Cloud Nothings, and I'm going to cram in a couple of other music titles. Enforcer, like I accidentally mentioned before, they are a band from Sweden, but formed in 2004. If you like early 80s metal, like in
if
the
you
vein
like
of
1985,
aesthetically
and musically.
I was just gonna say Exciter.
Exciter, Agent Steel, stuff like that. That's got Armored Saint, but a little faster. It's in that speed metal vein. They put out a live album, which I'm not always jazzed about, but Alive by Fire 2, it's called, because they put out Alive by Fire 1, obviously. It's also on YouTube for free. You can watch the entire concert. These guys get it. They sound exactly, not just like they're mimicking that era. They sound like they came
Genuine.
out in that era. Yeah, it's and that's where I draw the line with, because there's a lot of bands like that, like farming nostalgia, but like these guys are legit. Enforcer, Live by Fire. There's a band, Ultra Sun. The EP is called Night Is Mine. If you're into like electro goth kind of music, Sisters of Mercy, I'm thinking Depeche Mode, a little Joy Division mixed in there, and early Ministry. The EP is called Night Is Mine. That would be right up your alley. It's really good. And I want to shout out Group Love. This Is This, the album
So
that just came
good.
out.
So good.
It's I was way into them when their first album.
The last
people don't know
record.
them. They're like an indie rock band, alternative, or from the heyday of alternative quote unquote music, very in that style. But I fell off with them. I love their first record. Sam, you tried to get me in a couple something other stuff that they put out, and I wasn't feeling it as much. But this album, I'm as jazzed about as their first album.
Great, such
I
a
think
good
it's a real
band.
good
So good.
return to, yeah. They really, the great songwriters, great production, great hooks,
Yeah.
kind of poppy, but kind of indie too. Like
if
it's
Arcade
great.
Fire continued to be good and had more energy, like that to me, that's what it sounds like. So
That's a good analogy. And lastly, I'll shout out Heave Blood and Die, this band from Norway that I couldn't even tell you how to how to describe it. I hear some Joy Division, I hear some metal, I hear some shoegaze, I hear some everything. Like Heat, Blood and Die, band from Norway. You're thinking like Gorgoroth or like Mayhem, but like it's not that. It's hard to describe. But if you're adventurous, I encourage you to give a listen.
cool. John, do you have anything you want to close with?
Yeah, I have this tendency on Saturdays to get a little sauced and try to watch a movie, and then I forget the movie completely. So I've been spending my weekdays going back and rewatching all the movies I fucked up when I was fucked up, and I just did. I'm not even joking. I talk about this on the podcast all the time. It's becoming like a segment. And I just had to rewatch like 4 movies, but the one that stands out because I was sober when I watched it was The Dark and the Wicked on Shudder.
Yeah, I got to watch that.
Oh my God in heaven! So that's Brian Bertino. He did
Strangers.
He did both of the Strangers movies. I don't know if he's ever done anything else, quite frankly. Nothing else that I'm familiar with. I'm a huge fan of the devil in movies. Like I'm fascinated by like when people do it in a not goofy, dumb sort of way. Because my first movies as a kid were seeing like Rosemary's Baby and The Omen and The Exorcist, and these hold up now like 40 years later. You know what I mean? If not even more than that. So, but this is a fantastic movie. I totally get why it was on everybody's list. I highly recommend it.
We were gonna watch that the other day, and we ended up watching Come True instead.
Oh yeah, I saw you were talking about that.
Yeah, so I'll put that to the top of the list. That's cool. Yeah. I'm gonna close. Parker, you said you were done.
Yeah, I mean I got some music, but that's it.
Yeah, go ahead if you want to drop it, because I got one last thing. But go ahead.
Okay. So that band Terror that I really dig, they came out with a new album called Trapped in a World, and it's kind of like a reimagining of their first 2 albums. And the reason why I love their second album, one with the Underdogs, was the second guitarist, Todd Jones, actually left and formed this band Nails, if you guys are familiar with the band's Nails, who I was a very big fan of. So he came back into the band not only to play second guitar on this, but he also produces it. They're just pretty much re-recording the old stuff, but it's awesome. It sounds very good. Sunglasses Kid, which is they kind of get lumped into the synthwave genre. This album's called Sophomore. It's definitely more, when you listen to it, it's definitely more 80s pop than, like a Perpetrator. It's not as heavy as that, but they have a bunch of guest singers. It's very like 80s pop, I would put it with. Open Hand, which I posted in the room. This band that came back out of nowhere. I mean, they were on Trustkill back in the day. They're from California. They just put out an album called Weirdo, and very like Sparta, Hopes Fall, Far, stuff like that. The Midnight, who's another kind of gets lumped into the synthwave sound. I don't think that they're really synthwave though. I think they're definitely more like a poppy, like 80s sounding. And they put out this album called Neo Medusa. Limatos, who's another synthwave band, just put out Rise of the Turbo Kid. So they did the entire Turbo Kid soundtrack when that movie came out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
EP, right?
Yeah, and they just released
2
this
tracks.
and they're actually releasing a Turbo Kid video game in 2022. Funny enough. Juliana Theory, another band that fucking came back out of nowhere that I haven't even thought of since 2000. You know, they just released a new album. They're kind of funny enough doing the same thing that Terror's doing. They're like reimagining a bunch of their older stuff. And then lastly is this band that I'm going to try to pronounce, but they're from Austria. Maybe Langen can help me. I think they're called Harakira from the Sky, Haririka from the Sky.
That's it.
Carry.
Something like that.
Das Schnutzenfest.
Yeah, something like that. But the album is called, I'll just spell it out, Maere, Mariah, whatever, Mariah Carey, I don't know, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it's pretty much a mix between rock metal and like post rock. So very good stuff.
Shout out
Yeah, or Ish don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it Vasop or Ish don't think so?
Yeah.
Shout out to Udo Dirk Schneider. He's one of our biggest listeners.
He's got a new live album out. Came out last week.
So I'm
Nice.
gonna close. I'm gonna close with the last thing I have. So we're gonna talk to writer director Bria Grant, who just she wrote and starred in this movie called Lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah, which is up on Shudder. Super heavy movie, but also kind of like such a bizarre movie. But I think it's just like her humor. She has very offbeat humor, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of like Darren Aronofsky's Mother. But then she also made a movie. Speaking of nurse stuff, like for your wife. There's a movie on Hulu right now called 12-Hour Shift. That movie blew me away. That movie is like the Coen brothers meets Scrubs meets Halloween 2. It has Angela Bettis, and it's just
Love her.
Yeah,
She's great.
It's a really good movie. Like I can't wait to talk to Bria about those two movies and everything else that she's done. She's got a great catalog. She was on Heroes, Friday Night Lights, and a bunch of other cool stuff. So Shudder,
Nice.
watch Lucky with our buddy who produced it, Rob G.
I watched it on your recommendation, by the way.
Okay, cool. And then 12-Hour Shift, which is up on Hulu. So all right, listen. That brings us to the end of the show. John, thank you again for doing this. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Oh, cheers. It was a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
I'm going to throw one of my favorite synthetic 16s on the front of the episode.
Oh, good. I could buy a pack of gum.
Slow down, buddy.
Yeah, slow down. There's three.
One stick.
Dollar store.
One stick. Like a Lucy.
I'm using Spotify, so that's only 3 cents. I'm not even going to Bandcamp.
Bungul that. I got to share that too now.
So,
Goddamn.
A couple more, you get a Lucy.
Everyone check out Break the Apocalypse podcast. I finally I thought your co-host's name was B Show. I was like, what the fuck is
I know we had a joke about that on the Patreon last night. And I was like, I don't know if it's just because I have bad fake teeth now, or is it just my pronunciation, but it's B Show, like as in like B, the letter B and then show.
I didn't
Brian.
know. It wasn't. I knew what you were saying, but I was like, maybe he's like Indian and his name is like Bijou.
No, Shaheen is from Shaheen is
from
Iraq.
Iran.
Right?
Yeah.
He's from Iran. He's from
Okay.
Iran.
Yeah.
And B Show is from Ohio, which is the Iran of the United States. And this is the kind of thing you could find on the show, people, by the way. This
Cool.
is the kind of
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have dinner. John, thanks for doing it. Parker, Langen,
right.
see you
Yes.
guys.
Thank you.
all right, guys. Good night.
All right, later.
Later.